Alright, welcome to Epistemic Violence, Episode 5, the internet's top podcast of journalists that Gary Johnson paid for positive coverage. We're covering current events, tech, and a whole bunch of other shit. I'm your host, Satan. With me tonight are, in alphabetical order,
Crinton.
Pierre.
good shit. Alright, so, first up on the politics docket is... Thank you. On the politics docket is the California HIV law, which, Pierre, did you want to start off on this one?
I agree that Pierre should take this one.
Yeah, because this is something I
We should
just
take
love
this
so
pause.
much. So California lawmakers want to repeal HIV criminalization laws. So it would, if you didn't know you had HIV, or they don't really go into too much detail. I don't think. Yeah, if a person who knows if they're infected with HIV and has unprotected sex without telling their partner they have the virus, it's a felony, and they want to remove that.
Because reason.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Usually the saying is that the narrative is, AIDS or HIV isn't as deadly as it is or as it was before, so these laws are made for when it was really deadly. But you are like, if you had tuberculosis and you go up into someone's face and start coughing into their face,
Yeah. And you're like, no, dude, don't worry about it. It's just TB. You're not. We can fix this.
yeah, like, oh,
These
it's curable,
people-
man.
These people are normalizing, the very same people that complain about normalizing things, they're normalizing chronic illness. Meanwhile, they're
Yeah.
concerned about normalizing, like, patterns of speech.
I think I think there was an attempt at an argument being made on the third paragraph of this article, where they say intentional transmission of other communicable diseases, even a potentially deadly condition like hepatitis, is a misdemeanor. HIV is definitely potentially deadly. First of all, secondly, I mean, am I alone in thinking that knowingly infecting someone with a disease that can kill them should be a felony? Or
Oh,
at least, some kind of attempted manslaughter.
Dude, Mike Pence should drive there personally and electrocute them.
Agreed.
Mike Pence shows up in a plague doctor mask with a shotgun.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that giving someone hepatitis knowingly isn't a felony. That's insane.
I
Right.
I think that Pierre's onto something. I think that Mike Pence should go ahead and actually step down as vice president when Trump obviously gets reelected, and he should actually become the Surgeon General of the United States and go ahead and administer said program.
It'd be amazing. Yeah, we should actually we should. Yeah, okay, never mind. We'll do it another week about the whole Mike Pence electrocution thing and where that came from, because it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, but it's a great meme.
It is a great meme. Yeah, but yeah, I just I can't get into the head of a shitlib this much to understand why they would want to repeal HIV criminalization laws. I assume, because they reference it in the article, that the laws were passed in the 1980s, which gays weren't exactly treated all that great, and they're saying this is a it was
like a homophobic law or something.
yeah, instead of reefer madness, gay madness or something, where they're oh, the transmission rates aren't as high as they thought they were. But it doesn't matter how high the transmission rates are. If you have a deadly virus, I mean, if you had if you had Ebola and you're going around, smearing shit everywhere, that should be super illegal. I can't understand where tolerance is so important that you have to sacrifice public health.
Yeah.
Really pauses my neck hole.
All right. So Trump tax returns. Anyone want to take the lead on that?
From 2005, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a little bit awash as to what the outrage over this is specifically. Is it that he paid too little? Is it that he paid anything? Where's the angle that most people are coming
I don't
from
think they're
on
mad.
this?
Don't know.
It made him look really good because he paid 30%. The only
It was 25%,
oh well, okay,
but that was still more than MSNBC and Bernie Sanders.
yeah, he paid enough to shut people up about taxes. But I saw some liberals counter signaling it with oh well, he said that he was smart enough not to avoid taxes. I guess that wasn't true. or to avoid taxes. So he lied about avoiding taxes. He tried to make people think he was smart enough to do it. Like, that's actually an argument I saw on Reddit, of course.
Wow.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the whole thing about this was just that Rachel Maddow was like, "Oh, I got Trump's tax returns," and then she revealed them, and they were like, they made him
Even
look
though
better.
someone else revealed it before her.
Oh, he paid $38 million in taxes. Oh. How do I spend this?
How many millions of dollars did she pay in taxes? Because I'm sure she paid probably at least $1 million in taxes, but...
Potentially, but she probably paid like a lower percentage. I think she paid a slightly lower percentage than him.
She probably pays more for her haircuts.
Alright, that's good. Alright,
Did
this
she pay
next
as much
one.
as Gary Johnson for good coverage?
That's a good,
Segue.
that's a good segue.
It's good that we want to go jump right into that.
Sure. I don't know too much about this, but I just, as you guys were kind of letting me know in before the show, that, like the rest, he went ahead and paid for.
I think it was Judd Weiss revealed it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it seems like a lot of like paying for people's expenses to come to conventions and things of that nature.
They're saying he was effectively buying votes of delegates.
Honestly,
Welcome to politics.
least disappointing thing about Gary Johnson's campaign.
Like, if he was paying for mainstream, like, or paying for positive coverage, he really screwed up, or he did not pay enough because
he hired some bad people to do it
some
for
bad
him.
hombres.
With him, I don't know if there's enough money in the world to pay for making you look good.
That's leadership.
Dude, wait.
Dude, weed, LMAO. I climb Mount Everest. Do you remember that one time when Johnson was being questioned about weed, and they said something about like how it relates to heart disease or something, and he like grabbed his heart and like literally was rolling on the ground, pretending to have a heart attack.
Trying to make a joke.
On like a talk show
so
or
cringy.
something.
Yeah, it was like
fucking retarded.
Yeah, it was. Oh man,
wasn't there like an CBS or NBC interview where just in the middle of the interview he like sticks his tongue out and just keeps talking.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there's some of that too.
Yeah, just tongue out on national TV. Just I'm fucking retarded.
Remember the Ted Cruz booger? That was good. That was good shit.
I thought I heard Ted Cruz say something actually decently profound today. Just as a quick side note.
He's a Zodiac killer?
No, I think that you guys might actually agree. He was talking about the repeal and replace thing that's getting debated out still.
For Obamacare?
Yeah. And he said, flat out, if he goes back, and his colleagues go back to their respective districts with, millions of people left uninsured with whatever this replacement's going to be, they're going to get tarred and feathered for, as conservatives and whatnot. So I thought that was actually decently profound, given that he's usually pretty aloof.
Well,
and pretty on point with the truth. If they don't get their shit together, their own populations are going to get pretty hurt if they're not careful.
Isn't this like King Conservatives doing, Paul Ryan?
Oh yeah, no, that's the other thing. People keep calling it Trump care and all this stuff. I'm like, this is Paul Ryan's idea. Like, I used to think Paul Ryan was decently cool, but this is where you shame him and slam him for this horrible half-baked repeal and replace piece of legislation. This thing is far from like close to being where it needs to be.
It almost seems intentional, honestly. Like,
it just seems like it's got blatant oversights. You know what I mean? Just like whole swaths just unconsidered about like how to delicately transfer from one system to another.
Well, just to like go into conspiracy mode for a minute. I mean, Paul Ryan is like a hardcore Republican, like the old guard Republican, and that's they really hate Trump. So by proposing something like this, all the blame gets put on Trump, and it could hurt him for like re-election. It could be a big talking point depending on how far this gets pushed. So, yeah, I mean, it could actually be the Republican Party attempting to sabotage his presidency.
But I did see Trump actually respond with something I thought was pretty awesome, saying that if this doesn't help the American people, I'm not signing it. Like, if this hurts people, if this leaves people, like, in a vulnerable position, I'm not signing anything. Which I thought was actually rather profound, coming from someone who a lot of people slam for having horrible communication skills on policy matters.
Wrong.
So, wrong.
I love that Trumpism.
Gary Johnson, though. I'm so glad he's not going to run again.
Yes.
I wonder who the next libertarian candidate's going to be. I don't think McAfee is going to try again.
Jill
Kinda hope
Shine.
not.
Yeah, Jill Stein's going to get so high off Wi-Fi, she's going to have a religious experience and convert to being like a left libertarian.
An agorist.
Oh
But,
no.
but guys, what if the child
Black
consents?
Lives Matter agorist.
Oh Lord. Okay. Let's move into the Dutch elections thing.
Ah, yes.
So, a Turkish minister claims, quote, "Holy wars will soon begin in Europe," after Geert Wilders got beaten in the election.
There's vote.
I think you mean Geert Wilders
Yeah, sure.
or whatever his
Gene
name's
Wilder.
Yes. Yes. My only thought on this is fucking do it, bitch.
And my thought would be,
Yeah.
Deus Vult.
That'd
Ave
That'd
Maria.
be extreme.
useful.
It's just ridiculous. How do you have these people in your country advocating for shit like that, and then they're like the most protected class when it comes to politics?
Well, this is a Turkish minister, a government official in Turkey saying holy wars will begin soon.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying how the Netherlands has like a large Turkish population, and you have people that are coming from a place like that where a minister just says, like, this isn't an isolated incident either. Like, there's lots of Islamist elements of the Turkish government, and yeah, like it's just insane. I mean, between allied countries, it's ridiculous. Like, now if it was Iran or some other kind of like weird Middle Eastern country that said that's kind of par for the course. But it'd be like if Germany was like, yeah, we're just gonna we're gonna reinstate the Holy Roman Empire. So it's going to happen. You can't do anything about it.
Prepare
I mean, like when the supreme leader of Iran says, like, "Oh, Trump's a fake president," like, yeah, that is absolutely par for the course. I mean, Trump has said some pretty heinous things about Iran and its leaders. So,
what a shock!
What a shock! Trump is ending détente with Iran. No surprise.
Geert didn't do very well in the election either, right?
Wilders. No, Geert Wilders did not. But his party, or whatever his coalition is called, is apparently holding on to power in the parliament to some degree. So I don't know how that's going.
Like, does Gangrene Wildhog have a shot at like future elections, or is he like bowing out?
I think he does, because I was listening to this interview with a French nationalist, and he was saying that it's the young people.
A French terrorist, you mean?
Exactly. He was saying that the younger people are the ones that are voting for stuff like this. Like, these nationalist movements are very young in Europe, where in America, it's both old and young. But the old people in Europe are like, they've never had to deal with, like, they live in the nice areas of town. They don't have to deal with diversity.
A lot of dick.
Yeah. In America, because America is just so diverse already,
developed.
Like, you're going to see the kind of things that the problems that immigration causes. In the Netherlands, where it's not so diverse and you have very concentrated areas of immigrants, usually in the center and, depending on what country it is, but congregated around main cities, like, you have a lot of people that just never encounter them, and you're like, yeah, of course, yeah, they're refugees, of course we should help them. They're fleeing like Syria, right? Like, their houses are about to get bombed, and they're just getting here in the nick of time. It's like, yeah, well, that's not what's happening. These are economic migrants that are coming here from their shitty countries to, I mean, for not a bad cause. Like, they want to go to Europe to make more money a lot of the times. And the other half is, well, why are they in the Netherlands? It's like this movie that's being...
And they're doing it without going through the normal channels to do so, as has been outlined.
And there's like this movie that's being produced by Steven Spielberg that follows a tale of a Syrian or some kind of Middle Eastern refugee that was shipwrecked on a boat to Sweden. It's like, why are you going to Sweden? There's a lot of countries in between the Middle East and Sweden. Is it because they have the best welfare? Like, that's the only thing that sets them apart from somewhere like Italy or Saudi Arabia or
even
Iran
Serbia or Bosnia. Like, Romania, like any of these places. I mean, granted, they're not the most booming economies. I mean, especially not Greece, of all places. But
yeah, like there's hardly any. Well, there are some refugees that go there, but those are the ones that just actually probably want to get away from, shitty conditions. The ones that are going to Northern Europe are the ones that just want the handouts.
now I have no clue how hard this would be, but like, also, why not go to Iran if you are already like a Shiite Muslim? Like, you would be pretty much welcome there as long as you just like try to learn like Farsi or whatever. But most people there, I think, also like dually speak Arabic.
I think
to
they've
some
taken
degree.
in some people, but not nowhere as near as many as like Germany.
Well, yeah, and that's also because not many people are going that way. But that's also probably because they have to cross like Iraq as it stands right now, which is like death. So
Also,
it's Roman death.
did everyone just forget about all those vacant cities that China has where literally nobody lives there?
Yeah, and the sizable Muslim population already in China.
Yeah, the Uyghurs.
Did you just use a racial slur?
What? Oh my god! You're
Uh-oh.
banned from the podcast now.
The cops are already on the way.
Is that what they're actually called? Uyghurs?
Uyghurs. That's how you pronounce that. Uyghur Muslims. Yeah,
That's
Muslims,
weird,
whatever.
dude.
Oh, lost my train of thought. But at any rate,
Well, I mean, like all these people that say that diversity is such a great thing, and immigration is the greatest strength of a country. Well, why are they not advocating for these people to go to poorer countries so they can help those countries' economies and their culture if it's so great?
Alright, good shit. This next one I put on there just in case a discussion can happen about it. I haven't prepped that much. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Pierre, or just move on, table it. Move
Which
on to the
Islamic
next.
prayers in the Vatican?
No, the right-wing memes.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good topic. We could probably go on for a while. I think we should table it for another time. We already have enough content this time.
I'll table that real quick and then go into the Oxford comma is now legally binding. I'm not shitting you. There was let's see here. Yeah, some truck drivers were pissed about not getting overtime or something. And let's see here. Yeah, Oakhurst Dairy is the company that was sued. And the lack of an Oxford comma is going to cost that company about $10 million, I think.
Because I think it was for overtime, and
yeah, estimated $10 million.
the way that they wrote
For
the way that they wrote their like who receives overtime didn't include an Oxford comma, so it wasn't very clear whether or not things were included or exempt from receiving overtime. I believe it was that was like the context thing. So yeah, pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
This actually brings up a pretty good debate where some people, nerds, advocate that laws should be written in some kind of like coding language because you have to be very specific.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with that because I think that takes away the purpose of having a law, is that's to or one of the purposes, and that's to have a spirit of the law. Like, you'd have to be so specific about everything in order for that to work that it just doesn't seem worth it. Like, you'd have to kind of think of every kind of edge case that would fall under the purview of one of those laws, and then make sure that you explicitly state it.
Otherwise, you're gonna have like weird glitches and loopholes and craziness, and nobody writes perfect code, so it's not like they're gonna have a perfect law. I mean, I think the legal system is pretty fucky and weird, but
Yeah, but even like a corporate legal system, like for internal policy and stuff, they all use very verbose language because you don't want to back yourself into a corner when it comes to disciplining someone. And I can't really say if it's like that's a good or bad thing. Like, there should be a meeting of the minds where people are aware of what they can and can't do, but there also has to be a little bit of leniency because or a little bit of wiggle room, because that just creates really stupid and unnecessary loopholes and a bureaucracy that surrounds that. So yeah, I don't know what's the right answer, but
right answer is Oxford comma. Use it. All right, let's fucking move into something that's pretty cucked. So
and that would be
the Vatican the Pope is going to allow Islamic prayers and Quran readings in the Vatican. Which,
Why is he doing that?
that's a good question. Let's see here.
He said it was to this article says that it was to promote unity in the Middle East.
Mhm.
Now, I did a little bit of research into this because a lot of the things that the Pope says is extremely manipulated, or is like manipulated so much by the mainstream media. It's ridiculous. Some of the things that he said, like one of the recent ones was that the Pope said it's better to be an atheist than a Catholic. That's not what he said at all. He said that there's a saying that goes something like that, and that Catholics need to act better so people don't think like that. It's pretty crazy. So I looked into this and I saw only this article and one other one that even referenced this. I looked at the Vatican News website. There was no mention of it. I also saw another article from 2014 that had the same headline saying that for the first time ever, Islamic readings will be in the Vatican from 2014. And then this one also says for the first time they'll be allowed in the Vatican. So I don't know if this is true. I'm not a huge fan of Friar Cuck, but I don't want to shit on him too much for no reason.
It could just be an elaborate trap where he'll have the Swiss guards surround them and default them into another dimension.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, there's a lot of internal conflict in the Vatican right now between conservatives and more modernist Catholics. There was a bunch of people that went around posting flyers around Rome saying a bunch of conservative Catholics saying that they felt like they didn't have a voice, and stuff like this is only going to stoke the fire of that. And so it'll be interesting what happens in the next couple of years, and I hope he gets replaced. I don't like him, but
indeed. Corinne, do you have any comments on that?
Not really. Not particularly too affecting of my life in any real way, so.
Good stuff. I think that rounds out politics. If anyone has... You know what I'm trying to say. Anyone want to talk about other politics shit?
Trump is the president of the United States of America.
Still going with that. Longer than he will not
still not impeached. Even though, still no proof that he pissed on Russian hookers.
Alright, good shit. We'll move into tech. So the first tech bit that I wanted to cover is it's this AI called Post Intelligence, and it's an AI-based social media assistant. It analyzes what you post and your audience and their reaction to it, and it makes suggestions for what you should talk about to maximize your engagement and that.
Can you please read the title of this thing again?
It's called Post Intelligence PI. Has the logo's like a little happy robot with a pie.
We're hitting levels of urbanite that shouldn't even be possible. Post intelligence, social media. Dude, there's so many buzzwords in there. What was the second part? Social media.
Yeah, I'll just read you the full title. Post Intelligence Pi is the world's first AI-based social media assistant.
Oh my god!
So it tells you it's basically
in case you're too deaf and socially inept to gauge your own targeted audience that's already been pretty much
in a perfect
fueling your
world,
entire channel.
In a perfect world, this would just be a shitposting bot, like how to maximize your shitposting. But it's
how to
run
minimize
by
CAC.
Yeah. This is made by the same company who makes the app Candid. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, was that the one that a bunch of YouTubers were shilling for, and then the CEO was kind of a bitch?
Yeah, and they made the YouTubers sign non-disparagement clauses so they can't say anything remotely negative about the company for 2 years. Harmful Opinions was big on shutting that shit down. Yeah, it was the gist of the app is it's an anonymous discussion board like 4chan, but it has an AI moderator to make it not 4chan.
They do it for free.
And yeah, so that's what Candid is in a nutshell. This basically, yeah, it's a shitposting bot, or it will be used to, suggest and direct people's attention towards and away from certain topics. Maybe the parent company has a bad incident happen. They programmed the bot to tell people to not fucking talk about anything related to that or talk about other things. And
I can't see
yeah.
a scenario in which that would be useful or a good thing. Now, if this was open source and you could see the algorithm, I think that'd be pretty cool because, having suggestions on topics you might be interested in or topics that might be relevant to the forum you're posting in would be pretty cool. But to not know how that algorithm works is just like, that's so easily corruptible that I don't understand who would ever want something like that.
Fucking retards who just want that ad revenue money.
They should test it on R9K on 4chan. Replace the other robot with this robot and have them talk about socializing outside and sports.
How many layers of robot are you on, my dude?
Like 3 or 4.
Your little baby. Watch this. AI-based social media assistant. God, like who the fuck? Where's the demand for this? Who is so shitty at posting and making content, but would actually be in a position to want this because they do make content? Like I don't see that.
That's what I keep asking myself. Like, what person is so out of touch with their own audience?
Yeah.
Fuck the mainstream media.
Like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you've got no way of knowing whether or not shit's getting changed behind your back to influence you one way or another.
Yeah, I find this funny. I've seen it a couple times how people use this kind of anonymous, like an anonymous platform, but with like a impartial AI moderator, and it seems like they kind of go off how image boards are similar, but they have real moderators. But it's like, no, the reason that image boards are so great is because they're so shitty. Like, all the shit posting makes it worth, like, I don't think I would go to Poll or the cooking board on 4chan if half of them wasn't like, oh, I put M&Ms in my ramen, rate my meal. Like, it makes it entertaining. If everyone was just like, oh, what temperature should I cook a pheasant under glass to? Like, it would be really boring.
It'd be boring and avant-garde, yeah.
There's a time and a place for that, but there's also a time and a place for shit posting.
Yeah, I think like
Precisely.
The great thing about 4chan though is that it finds a decent balance of that. Like, I don't know if you've ever been on 8pol, but it's literally just like
Hitler was a cuck because he wanted to send the Jews to Madagascar.
Exactly.
All the time.
Yeah, like if you have any kind of right-wing leanings, you need to be Hitler, and if you're not, then you're just a lefty SJW.
And that's 8pol in a nutshell. 8K is a lot better though than 4K.
Yeah, I don't really browse. I browse like the 8chan Christianity board. That's like basically it, and it's because it's full of like really great memes. I'm sure I know I posted that one before where it's like if /Christian ran a church, and it's like all the Baptists talking about like killing gays and the Catholics retaking the Holy Land and the Orthodox like drinking vodka. It's pretty dank.
Good.
For sure.
Nice. We'll move into the Snapchat IP.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
So,
all yours.
Snapchat released its. Would you say released an IPO? Its initial public offering went public. Shares opened at $17, and by the time the markets closed, the price rose to $25, resulting in a market cap of $29 billion for Snapchat. Now, Snapchat's pretty cool, but it's one app.
Talking to bitches, sometimes sending pictures.
Yeah.
Funny
and
filter.
The fact that I don't think Snapchat has ever turned a profit. They're losing, according to this article on Mises, they're losing users every day. They never turn a profit. And Facebook and Instagram are basically doing the exact same things that Snapchat's doing. So they don't offer any kind of special privacy options. Like, they're not really focused on that. They're not like, they're focused on Like nothing really sets them apart from something that Instagram could make.
Yeah, Snapchat, the only thing they really have going for them besides like obvious ad revenue is like just they have facial recognition technology like second to none. But that's really it. And again, they're not turning a profit on it in a commercial sense. So like what are they going to do? Sell that data? Like
Yeah. And it looks like now Instagram was purchased by Facebook for $1 billion. And it looks like in 2016, it's expected to, it says rake in, I don't know if that's revenue or profit, but $3.2 billion.
probably raw revenue.
So, yeah, $572 million in the first quarter of 2017. That sounds like they're probably making money off that.
What I just posted in our side notes is pretty much the situation from what I've understood. That WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger are essentially lumped in there now too.
And
with
nothing
same
sets it
functionality.
apart, yeah. But like, it was purchased for $1 billion, and it appears here that it's actually making money. Snapchat, $29 billion market cap. That is so insane.
Yeah, I mean, WhatsApp is genuinely turning profit because it has immense value for numerous reasons.
Mhm.
But Snapchat, not really. And like you said, there's serious security and vulnerability concerns. with
I
that.
really want to find someone that works in venture capital and just be like, bruh, why? Like, how is all this money going to like the most retarded startups ever? And I mean, have you seen some of the Kickstarter and stuff?
Oh god, yeah.
I don't know if you know like Thunderfoot on YouTube. He's kind of a cuck, but he has great science videos. And he kept debunking these like, oh, we're going to make refillable water bottles, or we're going to provide clean water by taking it from the air. Because it requires like a massive amount of electricity to do that, and all you're making is just like a glorified dehumidifier, which don't really produce that much water. And you know they're receiving grants, they're receiving venture capital. It's like these people. How do you invest in something like that? That's retarded.
Yeah, how do you go for that and go in like all in, and yet you ignore like molten salt reactors, or you ignore like vertical farming in cities.
There was one Kickstarter thing that I heard about that obviously failed. It was called Vessel, and basically what it was a cup, and it would tell you what was in it, and like I guess how many calories are in it and shit about that.
What?
Yeah, like they thought that would be easily done in like the size of a cup and have it not be unwieldy.
Even if it worked, like, oh, you have coffee, there's 2 calories. Oh, thank you.
And then, right, they basically realize, oh, we fucked up. This is way harder than we thought. So now it's just a cup that tells you how many times you've like filled it up in the day.
Wow. So literally
Yeah.
a Arduino Uno and a LED, like small LED display.
It just makes me cack that when it comes to the market, that most like super lefty liberal people are the worst at actually like getting sustainable initiatives going.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But you made a really good point.
Meanwhile, I was just gonna say, meanwhile, that SpaceX is making a alkaline battery factory that's entirely off the grid.
Oh, that's crazy. It's cool.
You're gonna say, Pierre?
Yeah, I think they're doing that either in New Mexico or Nevada, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's going to be entirely off the grid. I think they're planning on doing a lot of solar, wind, and then like thorium or something like that, or nuclear, some capacity.
I was going to say that your point earlier about how they're not investing in these salt. What I don't know what the hell that is, but
that thorium, basically thorium energy, the liquid or the molten salt reactor, basically thorium,
or like
power.
vertical farming. What's the other kind of farming when there's fish? Like like
what?
No.
Oh, I'm talking about like
hydroponic?
No, it's not hydroponic. Aquaponic. That's it. Because the fish like filter the water.
Oh, okay.
Like there's all these like really crazy ideas out there that are really cool and actually have impact on humanity. But all this venture capital money goes towards like shit like this, where they can't even spend a couple $1,000s to consult with a scientist before they invest in it.
Or the Winklevoss twins. For yet another
maybe
failed
like
idea.
I'm not a venture. Maybe if I was better at investing in people, I'd be really rich. So I don't know how qualified I am to talk about this, but it's just like, I don't know. There's these great things that humanity could do, and yet we're choosing to invest it in like smart shoes. and wearable technology. I don't know. It seems really. It's
Nest. Yeah.
Wearable security vulnerabilities.
I just
Windows
find it
10
indicative
updates.
of a rotten culture that these are the things that the market demands. I can't control the market, but I think we should be able to.
Quick question.
Shitloads are retarded. You got
When it comes to,
retarded
like-
market actors. Market's gonna act a little retarded.
It's true. When it comes to like climate change and all that kind of stuff, do you think that the market will just like immediately auto adjust, like, and people will go ahead and actually put serious capital behind these initiatives when it actually gets to a point where like these things are kind of needed more than just kind of the desired option among several people that are proposing at the moment? You know what I mean? Do you think that people will ultimately need to, out of desperation, start just because that's one of the things about the thorium reactors, that you can literally just mass produce them on an assembly line. They're not very big, yet they can produce so much electricity.
Adjust to what?
That would require a value judgment.
No, to
and
adjust
that is
for.
also not an argument.
Well, I was to say reducing general pollution from coal
Yeah,
fire.
I don't know.
But
I'd like to think so. I mean, no one wants to die from
think so.
breathing toxic air.
That's what
See,
I'm
that
working
would that
towards.
requires
Yeah,
value
yeah,
judgment.
exactly.
Thanks, Morgan. But I was gonna say also that vertical farming, for example, like will definitely help the environment in the sense that like all that farmland that's no longer needed in terms of being spread across huge plains can now just be instantly reforested, like no issue.
Yeah. I don't think vertical
taking things to the
farming.
extreme,
I
I'm not
think
saying
would be
that that's
good
what
for
should
like an
happen, but-
apartment complex or something, but to actually produce crops on like that kind of scale it's a Herculean undertaking
Well, I mean,
to actually run a farm like that.
I mean,
Like, I don't think we're going to be reducing.
I mean, I was looking at one that was running. I was looking at one in New Jersey that's running, and it's
Yeah,
larger
but that's
than a football
nothing.
field.
Like
So-
a football field compared to
How tall was it?
Double check. I think it was like 5 or 6 stories.
like
Or maybe in 3 or 4. Pardon me.
most farmers have like multiple times that in crops, and it makes it more efficient as well when you have all of these crops in an area that you can just like spray with from a plane.
These are year round though.
Well, depending on
Growing
what climate
year-round.
you're in.
Have the LEDs attenuated and everything. I mean, these are
Well,
New
but
Jersey,
then when you're
Mid-Atlantic.
in places that there isn't year-round growth, that would be good, but you're not going to be reclaiming. Yeah, but you're not going to be reclaiming
are indoor.
farmland when like you don't have year-round farming anyway. Like when you have a really short growing season, there's not going to be that many farms around. So what land are you really going to reclaim?
I mean, there's mass amounts of just abandoned farmland in Maryland that's being slowly reclaimed.
Abandoned farmland?
That's what I'm referring to.
Really?
Mhm.
Because farming is you can make a lot of money farming.
Sure. And you can also go bankrupt trying to farm as well.
It depends.
Well,
Because
I
I
mean,
mean, there's crop insurance, and you can it's pretty. You take a lot of calculated risks, although you are dealing with a lot of capital. I was actually talking to my mom today, who's an agricultural technician by trade, and she was saying that she saw this like bag of seeds before, and it was worth like $100,000, and it was just like a small like fit on your desk bag of seeds. Yeah, because well, the reason this came up is because there's these tomatoes I really like. They're called Kumato tomatoes, and it's actually a specific like crossbred patented seed that it's grown from, and they only sell to certain farmers after they've been vetted. And there's lots of crops like that, and there's huge money in that. Just patenting seed formulas and selling them. It's really crazy. But yeah, a little bag of seeds, $100,000.
Open source seed initiatives.
IP is gay.
Well, yeah, that's actually kind of interesting though, because you could really do that even without a patent, because I think it'd be pretty hard to reverse engineer a seed.
I mean,
I'm
I
not a
guess if you,
biochemist, so
I guess it depends how hard is it to genetically analyze the plant, seed, and all that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's why I'm surprised there's abandoned farmland, because you could make this is a decent living.
You can grow rice, which everyone needs to survive.
Yeah, there's tons of cash crops, especially in the States with how much they subsidize corn. It's insane.
Oh yeah. Got that. It was really a weird experience the first time I saw it when I was younger. I was in like a Walmart or something, and I saw these hangers. It made from 100% corn, and I was confused as fuck.
Hangers?
Yeah,
Made
like
from
coat
corn.
hangers. Yes.
What in tarnation?
I'm hang on, let me Google it, because I might be retarded and like Mandela affecting right now, but let me just...
Are you in the dank timeline? I know I am.
I mean, Trump is president, I'm on the best timeline.
Yeah, agriculture is is something that most people don't understand all that well, I find, and I don't know. It's interesting. It's a huge business, especially in America. It's like a huge part of the economy, yet most people have no idea how it works, and then they want to propose laws regulating it. One great example was is
Holy shit! I found something great. And what I'm saying also is that you will still need rural farms, but that you wouldn't need this mass. You wouldn't have this mass need for these rural farms solely for just the consumption by the cities, and wouldn't need nearly as much mass transportation therein.
Let me read you one of the most early 21st century sentences ever. They are using 3D, or they are, fuck me, god damn it. They are 3D printed using corn-based plastic. What?
That's
yeah.
Some crazy shit. I get maybe with
fucking polymers.
Yeah, that's weird. But
anyway, I'm sure there will be plenty of sustainable technology coming shortly in the near future.
By 2020, if Glock doesn't have a corn-based firearm,
oh my god, that'd be amazing.
What's all this Zod about?
So this is an interesting thing I learned about. I was reading a thread on r/guns, and this guy from Somaliland, he asked the sub to help identify an AK that a soldier had that was hitching a ride with him, because apparently that's just a thing in Somaliland where soldiers just kind of ask for rides and you don't say no. And I forget how they got onto the topic of it, but apparently everywhere in Somaliland they have this mobile phone payment system called Zod. Like every little corner shack on the street has a Zod number. Like you text a number for payment, and that's how they all pay for their shit.
It's not that secure.
They probably isn't, but I mean, Somalia. It's secure enough to have a significant market following.
What about it though?
I mean, like they're bartering, like for I think it's just kind of an interesting case where you think of Somalia, the Somaliland, by extension, as this like poor as fuck. Everyone's dying all the time because of civil war and no government, and they've got this pretty, thriving system of paying each other for goods and services with cell phones.
I heard stuff before about how their mobile market is like pretty big there. No, that is cool though.
I mean, that's similar to like how you get mass adoption of similar things in like the Philippines, where like in archipelago you have a very high abundance of mobile phones, but not like laptop or desktop computers or internet cafes and mobile phones.
I'm okay with this honestly, because I don't need like to be playing against more people in free to play games. The Peruvians are bad enough.
This is true.
BR, hoi.
I just thought it was interesting. Like this, the article opens with this guy buying a camel with a cell phone. It's interesting little thing. All right, Crinton, you added the Vault 7 thing.
Nice. So we talked about Vault 7 on the previous show, but I also just wanted to quickly just highlight something that I was listening to another podcast, and they touched on that I thought was actually worth repeating, and that's the umbrage part of the Vault 7. And this is something that I had initially kind of considered to be one of the more dangerous aspects of it, that was kind of underreported in the more mainstream coverage of it. But that was that the CIA has a whole division, really focusing on how it can duplicate the signature calling card or fingerprint of other nation state actors or other agencies and other governments, which is kind of spooky. Especially since it outlines that they have a special focus for Russia. This is all amidst accusations that Russia's been hacking into our elections and been in contact with our elected officials and all this.
I mean, is the CIA. Is it any wonder that they were doing spooky shit?
No, it's not. But I mean, this is like the fact that this is like stated, and this is like noted. This is now public and
I
documented.
think also by now most of the Vault 7 stuff is patched or known more about. And apparently, from what I understand, there's very few to none remote vulnerabilities. Like they had to have physical access to the device to actually execute these attacks.
Sure. My other concern that I brought up last time we were talking about this was also just the idea of just proliferation,
Mm-hmm.
how hoarding these 0 days and hoarding this kind of malware and these scripts and these these pieces of weaponry is really dangerous, because these things ultimately get leaked or they get viewed by other recipients or victims and then reverse engineered. In some cases, obviously not all, but these things spread out into more criminal and malignant organizations out there in the world. Like these things, like the CIA, but like these things, what if China causes something? Just total hypothetical. What if China causes something, and by using similar techniques here, they go ahead and leave a trace that looks very convincingly like the CIA, given that they were able to mimic their pattern. And I'm not saying that this is Vault 7 now putting this out there, that this is something that one specific event may have caused. This is just kind of inevitable. This is how arms races kind of work, even with
you could start wars over that.
Arms,
if you made it look like another country was meddling in the affairs of another one.
Exactly, and this is this technology gets out.
I just want the CIA to have like a some kind of information leak due to a 0 day that they didn't disclose and on proprietary software that they couldn't update. That would just really warm the cockles of my heart.
Well, I was listening to a podcast about this, and apparently most of their stuff it wasn't like unknown, like they didn't discover it their own. They just kind of
paid off companies to not fix it.
Yeah, that or like just kind of held on to it. But basically, most of the security vulnerabilities require physical access, so that's kind of not that concerning, or not. It's not as concerning. And this, these were all like publicly known vulnerabilities.
Right. I mean,
like
they were we talked about. These are very targeted attacks. Sure.
Yeah.
Samsung TVs, for example, was particularly shocking. Like that had been known for several years now. So that was definitely possible. Good old Kelly.
Yeah.
That was a.
Oh God, man.
No, that one guy who used to come around here who would talk about how magnesium is getting stolen from your blood by microwaves.
Oh, I was talking about Kellyanne Conway making the joke that of course the CIA isn't spying through, or the CIA could be spying through your microwave.
Yeah, obviously.
Do microwaves have microphones on them?
Look, they've got.
No.
We're reaching levels of Internet of Things that shouldn't even be possible.
Speakers make sound go out, so they can just make the speakers go backwards and make sound go in. Duh. I was just.
You can do that actually. I'm like 99% sure you can plug a speaker into a microphone port and like yell into it and have the vibrations like. I don't know if I'm retarded, dude. I remember like. Okay, I mean, I think I'm retarded. I think this is the thing, though, dude.
No, the title of this podcast is "Ass by the Gallon."
That needs to be the title of the podcast.
That was decided several days ahead, and we're not going to explain why it's the title.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be a memorable quote.
All right, that's good. We're doing really good on time, by the way. So I think if we want to talk about the books shit now, that'd be good. Crinchin, you want to? Yeah, we're at about 50 minutes. There's going to be some dead air that gets cut, but we're at like 53 right now.
Okay. Oh, wow. But I just wanted to talk about how that Days of Rage book that we talked about, I think on either episode 0 or episode 1. So that part that will get kind of put out into its own segment. We talked about it, so I actually went ahead and bought the book itself, so I'm going to be working on that here shortly. I also bought The Trial by Kafka, because I heard from Man in Time that that's a good one, and I also heard that about the book. I hadn't heard anything of it. And I also bought Fahrenheit 451, because I heard that's also a really good book. And these are all books that I've intentionally tried to, keep spoiler-free of, in anticipation of. So I'm going into these pretty blind, only knowing the general open premise. Sure. So Days of Rage is the analysis of the, huge wave of left-wing revolutionary, radical, whatever adjective you want to put on there, violence.
Far left.
Exactly. Left-wing violence that was super far left, super organized, and super violent, as was now stated a million times. So yeah, it's about that, and how it's a lot of information that's frankly just never even brought up anymore. And then you hear for example, like you only hear about like the the militias and the all the stuff that happened in the 90s, but you
Tupac's
never hear about
mom.
the 70s. I mean, you hardly even hear about you hardly even hear
Mhm.
about the going postal stuff from the 80s, let alone that. But at any rate, I also picked up The Trial from Kafka, or by Kafka from Amazon. General premise, from what I understand, is a guy's. It's apparently the second book in a series of 3 that are loosely connected, I believe. But this is also just one that's renowned, so apparently it doesn't need to have been read the first. But apparently it's about a guy who gets arrested by the state and then has to stand basically in a kangaroo trial or so. I think. Again, trying to stay as spoiler free as possible, so we'll see what happens. And then Fahrenheit 451 is about some firefighter whose job is actually to like burn books banned by the government. So we'll see how that goes as well, as these are super cheery, super fun to read.
Pretend the books are the Communist Manifesto.
Exactly. Well, the Fahrenheit 451 is an illusion or alliteration or whatever that means. But at any rate, it's a allusion to the idea that the burning temperature of paper is like 451 Fahrenheit, which apparently to Wikipedia is not.
It's
Close
a
enough.
catchy title.
Who cares?
So
Exactly.
what matters?
It
Don't
doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah.
It don't
The last
It don't
one that I
matter.
got on here is one that a series that I recently started. It's fiction. It's the Elric saga, and it's really interesting how little exposure this has, considering how old it is and how much it's influenced. So the story first, or the first work in this saga began in 1961 as a series of short stories that got published in some magazine, and basically it's a dark fantasy series, but it was sort of the first of its kind in a lot of ways, and it introduces a lot of tropes and things that are used in fantasy and fiction a lot nowadays, like the whole DC and Marvel having a multiverse. This series was the first to really explore that concept, and it did it decades before Marvel and DC decided to multiverse it up. The basic premise is the main character is
It's pretty cool.
well, I'm going through the internal chronology, not the order in which the books are written, because they are completely different. He's the emperor of like a degenerate dying kingdom, and he's a if you play The Witcher, you might notice some similarities. He's a white-haired, incredibly skilled with swords, capable of some magic. His love interest is a sorceress who often wears black and white. Stop me if you've heard this before. Yeah, it's quite good. And I'm on the second book in the series now. I read the origin story, which was quite good. The second one it's a really interesting premise. It's basically a dark fantasy heist story with a sort of, the movie Dead on Arrival? It's a movie, guy gets poisoned, has to figure out who poisoned him. Basically, main character gets poisoned. Guy who poisoned him is the only one who has the antidote. So guy has to go steal a thing that's in like another dimension. It's pretty interesting, especially for how early it was written and how much it's influenced the genre, from things like Lord of the Rings to now we have Game of Thrones, and there's just sort of an interesting lost link. Yeah,
Wasn't Lord of the
this
Rings
comes
written
after Lord of the Rings,
before that?
but it's sort of the transitional influence on the fantasy genre that evolved into Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, it evolved into what we see now in like Game of Thrones and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
No, that's pretty cool. I've just been reading Hoppe.
Ooh, so to
Theory
speak.
of Socialism and Capitalism.
Yeah.
And so to speak, yes. And
okay. I mean, we can put that in the description on the YouTube video.
Oh, sounds good.
Definitely. I think that'd be a good resource. It's one that I definitely need to save locally for myself as well.
I've also been listening to the Dan Carlin podcast on hardcore history, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Where are you up to in that?
Yeah, it's really good. I'm only like maybe an hour and a half in.
What's he talking about? It's been a
not,
while
not
since
that
I've
far,
listened to the
but
episode.
it's still kind of preamble of how do you think that people felt after the Second World War with communism in Russia on Europe's doorstep and having like the
going.
most powerful weapon that you can have.
Glass Moscow. Oh, well,
Yeah,
no, I'm
it
just
gets
saying,
better.
we should have kept going.
Oh, yeah, we should have marched to the Arctic Sea. Patton's march to the sea.
Just
Should have
raids
kept going in
through
the Korean War.
Russia, get back to Alaska, call it a day.
I wonder what like the world would be like if Russia was never like if the USSR was never allowed to form, and all the European countries that were controlled by Russia that before were independent countries
if
were
at
never
the end of
given to
World
them.
War II, all the countries that Russia had to go through to get to Germany became independent again, or that would be interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if there's an alternate
I
history
Bet there would.
series on that, because that
Well,
would
yeah, 'cause
be.
you
I
had
think
a
that
lot
would
of,
change a lot of stuff.
You had some weird political shit going on in places like Estonia and Finland, where there was like a lot of Nazi sympathy because the Nazis didn't want to immediately murder and kill them, where the Russians did.
You know, it's still okay to wear communist flags and stuff at labor protests. It's not a big deal. PewDiePie makes a Hitler joke, and he's on the front page of Washington Times, Washington Post. Classic.
Yeah, I don't get that. It's fucking weird. Yeah, we're just over an hour now. Probably gonna cut that down to about just an hour.
120 minutes.
Ooh,
Maybe
yeah.
2 or 3 minutes of silence.
All right, good shit. That's Epistemic Violence, episode 5. Ass by the Gallon.